Ma, can we get SEGA Bass Fishing? No, we have SEGA Bass Fishing at home. SEGA Bass Fishing at home. I love fishing, and I like fishing games, or games that have it, such as Yakuza and Animal Crossing. So after searching for old fishing games, I got a bunch for the PlayStation 1. Today, we'll start taking a look at one of them with Action Bass, a game developed by a Japanese company called, how the hell do you pronounce this? Vintage Systems Corporation? Published in Japan by Syscom in 1999. Syscom. What the hell is that, a 90s fighting game villain? Where's Matt McMuscles? Anyways, it was later released in the US by Take-Two Interactive in 2000. The game is developed for the PlayStation 1. People seem to not like this game, and I don't get why. It's literally SEGA Bass Fishing for the PlayStation. I love SEGA Bass Fishing style fishing games. Let's see if this game is really as bad as critics claimed 23 years ago. Damn, this game is 23 years old? If you've played SEGA Bass Fishing, you know what to expect. It's just a less pretty looking one given the low-end specs of the PS1. You got various lures to fish in different styles. You must build your lure action bar to lure in the fish to bite. Then you just pull the fishing rod back and reel them in to some rockin' music. Yep, it's clearly a SEGA Bass Fishing clone, and that's a good thing. I prefer these style of fishing games over anything else. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy fishing in Animal Crossing and Yakuza, but this style is just my go-to overall. It's more engaging seeing the fish underwater and getting jump scared by large ones biting the hook out of nowhere, and the tension with the music builds up, the satisfaction you get for reeling in a meaty fish. Now I'm craving some deep fried fish nuggets. Damn the fall season. I need me some artery clogging goodness. Anyways, you just choose a lure, pick a spot to cast, reel it in till you get a hooked bass, and then finally, bring it in for dinner. Or well, actually you just store them in an aquarium to oogle at. I guess that works too, but I prefer to eat my catch. The controls are not bad. Got the square button for lure selection, X to cast and reel, left analog stick to move, basic and effective.
Nice fight!
Here you have to fish within a time limit and get the most weight and get a certain rank. Also, you have to let go fish that are of not a certain weight. This sucks, and I have no interest in it. The fish don't bite as often as needed, and the reeling takes a while. This game is at its best when you're in free mode, just enjoying a relaxing time. Turn on some country music or relaxing tunes, and enjoy a SEGA Bass Fishing style good time. So instead of talking about challenge mode any further, let's talk about the free mode instead. In free mode is more up my alley. You select one of 4 locations, just like SEGA Bass Fishing, except one is a secret area you have to get to in that game. Here, all 4 stages are available to select. You got Boathouse Cast, Jungle Bass, Cloudy Fight, and Sunset Big Bass. Each location featuring a different aesthetic, but the same fish since it's all about the bass. I like the boathouse most of all, as it's more swampy and has trees underwater. I just like that aesthetic overall. It always lured me in like a catfish to a fat stack of corn on a hook. There's no end goal here, it's just fish as long as you want. And I do wish there was a day and night cycle or options though, but certain areas are themed around different times of the day, so that's fine. You get to choose to release or keep the bass you catch as well, so go for the largest fat bass you can get. The only other options are settings and aquarium. The aquarium just hosts all the kept bass you caught over time. You can move the camera around to look at them, and the R1 and L1 buttons to toggle between them as they swim around in a closed off area of water. And that's about it. This game is a simple conservative fishing experience. There's not much to it, but that's fine, and our overall enjoyment I got was great. It has some hiccups, like not explaining things at first, trying to figure out everything, but once I learned the lure action meter and got good at it, and reeled in a decent amount of large bass, it was an overall fun experience. At the end of the day, I say this game isn't bad as IGN proclaimed it to be, and would recommend it. If you like SEGA bass fishing style games, you'll like this. It's just a less graphically looking good one, so go and check it out. Anyways, that's it for this video. See y'all later. I got some money saved up, so let's go to LameStop and buy some used games to make reviews on. Yay! Gee, you think there would be enough fishing games for the PlayStation 1? Some of them are a bit pricey, some of them are dirt cheap. I think I'll buy them all, just to be safe. Ugh, look at all those Max Payne 3 copies still. I think they were starting to grow mold. Ugh. Anyways, let's head up to the register and get these games purchased.
Hi, welcome to LameStop. May I sell you our crappy, overpriced, worthless membership today? It's only $70 a month for something that entirely sucks and offers nothing of value.
No, I don't want to hear about your fucking membership. Shut the fuck about the membership. I about fucking had it hearing about the membership. Every time I come here, I don't want to hear about the fucking membership. That does it. I'm going to do what everyone wanted it to do ever since they first came to LameStop and had to deal with this.
Attention officers within the area. We have a hostage situation at LameStop. All officers within the area are to respond immediately.
This is the Humpty Dude Police Department. Come out with your hands up, or we'll go in guns a-blazing.
He's trying to sell me their shitty-ass membership, and I'm tired of hearing about it every time I come here to buy a fucking used video game.
Sir, can you please stop trying to sell your shitty membership to LameStop? No one wants it.
Yeah, that's against corporate policy. I'm gonna need you to try to buy our LameStop Pro member.
That does it. Go, go, go!
FBI, open up! Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Yeah, okay, I'm never doing that again. I don't know what the fuck I was smoking when I made this. After Action Bass, I had to try the many other PlayStation 1 fishing games. Too bad. This one is a stinker. I honestly have nothing positive to say about this game, really. So this review will be short. Very, very short. That's why the intro was so long to this video. Plus I was bored and made it out of boredom. I make really weird stuff when I get bored. Just look at the Moist movies on my channel for an example, alongside the memes. Anyway, let's talk about why bass landing isn't worth your time as it wasn't mine. Bass Landing. What kind of name is that? The game at first showed promise with a neat intro and in-depth customization options for fishing in free mode. Then there was the fact we could drive the boat around the entire lake? Awesome! But then you try fishing and realize it's nothing like SEGA bass fishing. Well, we got a con already in place. Then the fishing mechanics are not explained, and you never catch anything. No matter how long you wait around or what you try, no fish ever bite. The whole game is a clunky mess of nothingness.
What the hell is even that?
You have a tutorial mode, but the mechanics are so clunky and unintuitive that it doesn't even matter. Half the time, nothing works right. So when it tells you how to cast the rod, you will fail over 90% of the time. This got so annoying, I quit the tutorial after the first lesson. That's how bad the game plays. You can't even get through the fucking tutorial.
Can't I just have a break? Can't I just have one break?
You have your standard tournament mode, where you get to fish within a time limit by trying to get the most weight out of all the fish and try to win the trophy, but I couldn't even find a single fish in the lake. The lake is more dead than Joe Biden's brain cells.
Ass!
The last mode is free mode. Just fish all you want and choose settings to appeal towards your taste. The time, weather, season, wind, water clarity, etc. You got Lunker Lake, Crystal Lake, sadly no Jason, Alpine Lake, and Mirror Lake. Yet each feels and looks the same with no real differences. After trying most of the lakes and trying to fish for about an hour, I gave up. I never caught a single fish. And while to some that sounds realistic, to me that sounds stupid and boring. Even in real fishing, I catch more fish within an hour than I would be playing this game for 10 freaking years straight. At the end of the day, you're better off of SEGA Bass Fishing and Action Bass, depending on your platform. This game had so much potential, but in the end, turned out to be another dookie in the urinal. To which sucks, cause I was hoping for more fun fishing games after Action Bass. But hey, there must always be a stinky in the sea of fishing games. So while this one sucks, maybe the next one won't? Till then, see y'all later, and have a happy Thanksgiving. I'll have another review out tomorrow for Thanksgiving. I'm trying to have a review every day till February 2024. Anyways, goodbye. After the disaster that was Bass Landing, I feared the rest of the PlayStation 1 fishing games. And I was right to, because Bass Rise, developed by Bandai in 1999, is yet another stinker. But also one I'd sooner recommend, as it's playable, albeit not great. So let's jump into this short review on Bass Rise. Again, these fishing games have awful titles, kind of like Call of Duty Modern Lame Fare, Tree Barf. The game only has two options and settings, with single player mode and versus. Since I don't have friends, after all I'm a gamer, we will stick to single player mode, which started out promising with the ability to choose our gender and the color of our outfit. Simple yet effective, as players, I included, like to have customization in their games. After that, we can choose from only 2 locations? Oh boy, here we go. This is going to be another dookie in the urinal, isn't it? Like SEGA Bass Fishing and Action Bass, you have the distinct style of gameplay, which I was happy about as it's my preferred way of fishing. Not like Bass Landing, where it's realistic and boring. I don't want to stare at water all day. I want to see underwater and watch the fishies like a kid at an aquarium. Anyways, controls are doable since it's the SEGA Bass Fishing format. Graphically, it's nothing great even for the time, but the water does look good, I'll give them that. In fact, the developers was so proud of the graphics they advertise and boast about it in the game.
Regular side.
let's talk about the game's two locations. One is by a bridge in a river during the sunset. There's no moving the boats around, so you're in a fixed location. I get it, but still, that's one of the few pluses I'd give Bass Landing. The river is more shallow, so you get a smaller fish, but can see things more clearly. The second location is near a dam and restaurant. The water here is murky, dark, deep, and the time is day. Here, larger fish are lurking, and I did hook a meaty fish.
Large size!
You cannot choose your fishing rod or anything like that, but you can switch your lure. You cannot choose the time of day or weather or season or anything either, unlike Bass Landing. So overall, the game is tiny and lacking, but it's fun, and the water tech is impressive for the PS1 in 1999. In fact, the water is better than a lot of 2010 games, and even the 2020 games, which says something about how programmers can make a difference when they have the know-how and passion for something. There's not much else to talk about outside the two characters you meet when fishing. The first is a lady, I guess, who teaches you the basics and leaves. The second is the store owner, who eventually challenges you to catch large bass. And that's about it. There doesn't seem to be like a real plot or anything, and it's just a little fun fishing game. So let's get this video over with.
What?
So at the end of the day, it's not an awful game, albeit a mediocre one. Yet I do recommend the game. It's playable, just nothing great. I still recommend Action Bass and SEGA Bass Fishing overall, but after Bass Landing, Bass Rise is a good game in comparison. So go check it out if you can. It's a small game with decent water quality, and there's other fish besides bass, so that's a plus. Anyways, that's it for this video. See you all later. After Bass Rise, I didn't want to make any more fishing reviews, at least for now, but due to having no ideas how to fill out December with any other types of content, I can't really think of any other games I want to review right now.
Biohazard.
I went ahead and made another fishing game review, this time on Monster Bass, which looked like a normal fishing game. Oh boy howdy, was I wrong. There's a plot, you see. Giant fish are in a lab and escape, then become a menace to society, hence the game's title of Monster Bass. The tone is stupid cheesy horror, and I couldn't put up with it. But there's a worse problem with the game that makes it hard to even review. Let's dive into why Monster Bass is a colossal shit pile that even an elephant couldn't hope to take.
Oh, damn!
The game opens up with a pretty impressive pre-rendered intro. There's bass inside of laboratory test tubes and one escapes, and POV attacks what I assume is a scientist doing the experiments. Afterwards, you see the player come to a bass tournament. So far it's interesting but can't be stupid. Also, the gameplay started out like SEGA Bass Fishing, so I was happy. But the fatal flaw in this game is in the controls.
It can't get worse, right? It can and it will, and here it is.
You can have a great game, but the controls are the fatal flaw. No matter what, if you can't play the game, let alone it plays like shit, the game is bad. Even if underneath the awful control scheme is a good game that would otherwise be an 8 out of 10 or even a masterpiece. So when you hook a fish, you wonder, do you just reel it in? Nope. You mash random buttons without any indicator on screen for what to do. Then the line stress gets worse and an annoying alarm goes off with higher and higher pitch till you somehow relax the line, to which good luck figuring that out, or catch the fish, to which good luck figuring that out, and of course the line breaks, which the game will gladly do it for you right away. So you can't actually catch any fish. Yep, this game is SEGA Bass Fishing mixed with Bass Landing, and then some. Except nothing outside of the style of SEGA Bass Fishing is present.
Can't I just have a break? Can't I just have one break?
So outside of the story, what else is there? You got training mode, which doesn't teach you jack about the game's mechanics. So you can't even pass the training mode. Again, this is bass landing levels of awful, because even in that game, the controls are so bad that the tutorial section was impossible to even pass. That takes talent to make some of the worst controls possible that you can't pass the tutorial. So I jumped into free mode to just fish all I want in the various locations the game has. So I'll give it credit here. You have 4 locations and the ability to choose day or night. But the game's controls continue to play against you, and no matter what you press, whether it's single buttons or combinations, rapid presses or slow press, you will always have the line break, or the fish just won't bite. Which, yeah, the fish not biting, that's bass landing again. Honestly, wasn't expecting much from this game, but still, this just sucks.
Yes.
At the end of the day, I do not recommend this game. I was disappointed right away by its dumb plot and awful controls. Honestly, it's worse than bass landing, which is a huge achievement. So let's hope other fishing games I have yet to cover for the PlayStation 1 will actually be good, because I need to find something else to play besides SEGA Bass Fishing and Action Bass. Till then, see you all later.
Biohazard.
Back to fishing games on the PlayStation 1, this time with a 2002 one by Take-Two Interactive. Oh yeah, and it's rated E for everyone. You'll see why that's not exactly a good thing later. For now, let's jump into why big bass fishing isn't worth your time, as it wasn't mine today.
I'm about to bust. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought this was the bathroom. Oh, good lord!
And now you know why I don't get the rated E for everyone rating. The game is literally Playboy model going SEGA Bass Fishing. Though that's not really a bad thing, unless you're gay. And it might just be, but that's your problem, not mine.
I don't like where this is going.
So mechanically, it's like SEGA Bass Fishing and Action Bass. You select the location, though here everything but the boathouse is locked. I couldn't even find cheats to get everything. And there's some fatal flaws as to why I needed cheats. We'll talk more about that later. But for now, you get to select the lures, the spot to fish, the direction to cast, the power of the casting, and then switch between ass cam and hook cam. I'm not joking here. The camera is fixed on the model's butt. Meanwhile, the hook camera can be rotated underwater. You know, priorities. Is this a fishing game or a jacking game? I've never been more confused going fishing before in my entire life.
Shake your ass! Watch yourself!
You can fish for all kinds of fish, but the problem is some are locked to certain lakes, which are locked in turn. I couldn't even unlock them because the challenges are impossible due to a time limit. This brings me to another fatal flaw of this game, the fact that fish rarely bite. I only ever caught 3 fish in the span of 5 hours playing the entire game. No, they were mostly caught in arcade mode, which brings me to another complaint. Where's the free mode to fish all I want? How I want, where I want, when I want. I hate how this game is timer and goal only mode. There might as well be only one mode, and that's challenge mode. This sucks. I just want to lay back and fish. That's all I want. I swear to the Lord in heaven, that's all I want.
That's a record!
This shit is insane.
Goddamn right.
But that's the problem. The timer goes by too quickly. Fish never bite, and you waste time of your life with a game that doesn't have much to offer, unless that's sex appeal, then you bet your sweet bippy this game has you covered. I honestly have nothing else to say. It's just a generic SEGA bass fishing clone with sex appeal and fatal flaws galore.
When they're in the water, they look so much bigger.
At the end of the day, I'm glad I got this game out of my way. It's nothing great, but it's not the worst game of all these fishing games for the PlayStation 1 I've covered so far. I mean, it's no bass landing or monster bass. So, I do not recommend the game, and I give it a borderline average score. If you want to oogle at some PlayStation 1 era booty, then go right ahead and enjoy. Just note, this game requires a right hand to control the fishing mechanics, so I hope that you are ambidextrous. How do you make a bad fishing game? Simple. It controls bad, fish never bite, and the gameplay is overall frustrating. That's Saltwater Sportfishing in a nutshell. A flawed, mediocre fishing game based around fishing in the ocean across the world. Sounds great, right? Wrong. What was a neat concept ended up being extremely flawed in every conceivable way imaginable. Let's get this over with. I'm so done with fishing games for a while after this.
Anyone at all? Would you buy that? None of y'all wouldn't buy that? You're not fucking stupid.
Arcade. Surprise, surprise, the publisher is Konami. Of course it is. That's a red flag already. They never make good games, except for Bloody Roar and Silent Hill. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Castlevania or Metal Gear. Anyways, the arcade mode has you fishing in a single location within a short time limit, just catching whatever you can and restarting after the timer is done. This sucks. Nothing bites within that time limit. This is a fatal flaw to this fishing game. You can't really fish if the fish don't bite to be fished in the first place. So this mode sucks. Let's move on to tournament.
Can't I just have a break? Can't I just have one break?
Tournament. Here you have a variety of challenges, like catching the best fish within a day, getting the most fish, catching and releasing, fishing within a few hours, etc. That sounded good till I remember arcade mode. That's the entire game. You fish for nothing, as the fish never bite. So after a few rounds of trying to catch something in various modes and never making it within the time limit, I walked away.
It's awful.
Controls. Like any game, if the controls suck, it's a bad game. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. A good game has to have good controls to be good. Saltwater Sportfishing, however, offers nothing but the best of the best of controls. For the one of the worst. Yes, the controls suck. Nothing is explained, and it took me forever to figure things out, and even then, I still couldn't play the game. The entire time, I never caught a single fish after a few hours of playing the game. But then a miracle happened, and I caught one. A mackerel shark. I was happy. But after that, I never caught anything again. The fish rarely bite. Then when they do, no combination of buttons makes them get hooked half the time. It's random button mash fest to see what does and doesn't work. Like a fighting game. You just hope for the best, but they either get off the hook or the line instantly breaks cause you can't relax the line half the time. This game just frustrates me beyond comprehension.
Oh! Hold on! I dropped my pen!
Overall, at the end of the day, this is single-handedly the worst fishing game yet that I've played. I guess I should have started with this game instead of Action Bass, cause that's still the best fishing game for the PlayStation 1 to date. I still have many more games of the genre to cover, but honestly, I'm not sure if I want to continue. Anyways, I do not recommend this borderline mediocre game. I'll check out one more fishing game before going on a break. I'm sure Big Bass World Championship will be good. I mean, it's hard to screw up a bass-focused fishing game. Then again, Bass Landing did just that. Still, this one looks like fun. See you tomorrow for the last fishing game for a bit. Let's hope we finally found a good fishing game besides Action Bass. I've done it. I've found the worst fishing game of all time. Far worse than Bass Landing. Far worse than Saltwater Sportfishing. Far worse than Monster Bass. And far worse than any mobile fishing game. This is called Big Bass World Championship. A game that looks, runs, and plays so bad, I could barely play more than 10 minutes of it before quitting. This is single-handedly the worst PlayStation 1 game I have ever played to date. Let's get this review over with, because I cannot come up with much to say because it's just so bad.
Yes, I'm here for the free scam.
I get this is the PlayStation 1, but these graphics belong to the PlayStation 0. From the 2D characters with choppy animation, because it's just random images compiled together with no in-between frames, or the fact that the water is only 2 frames per second and the fish are 1 frame. Seriously, how the hell is this game from 1996? We had better looking games at that point. Hell, even 2D fishing games were better on the SEGA Genesis. I'd rather play a fishing game on the original Game Boy than this. Truly a fugly game with tons of technical problems holding it back. But first, let's talk about the controls.
Okay.
The game starts with some of the worst controls. You move the cursor like a mouse with either the D-pad or the left analog stick. Who thought this was a good idea? It's bad enough today where console games play like PC with a free moving cursor instead of the classic and better snap to grid system, thanks Destiny 2. But anyways, you enter a name and pick your gender. I thought both were chicks at first, given the guy has man boobs. Already a great sign. I mean, I got man boobs, and yet I could tell I'm a dude. Okay, calm down. Let's talk the UI. It's awful. It's one of those creative menus. You move the cursor around and try to figure out where everything is, what each item means. Apparently, the picture frame is practice. The computer is options. The books are fish information, and the phone means tournament. Whatever happened to the simple select screen we're accustomed to? Bullshit. Speaking of bullshit, let's talk about the fishing mechanics. You ever wanted the worst boat controls in a video game? Well, here you go. You can barely move, and you hit stuff non-stop, as the pop-in is atrocious. The warning says the boat can sink if not careful, yet I never had that happen, sadly. That was the only fun I had with this shit game, was trying to sink the boat. You have to try and bring the boat to a complete stop in order to fish, but it's not possible, as it moves on its own as you fling the analog stick back and forth, trying to get the boat in place so you can cast. But you can't cast because you need a lure. So you need a select lure, and then you go cast. Then you can use a camera switch with X to switch underwater. But at least it has one good thing going for it, it has that SEGA bass fishing camera. Now, between all of this, I had to hit 13 loading interruptions. Yes, you heard me right. To choose cast, you hit a loading screen. To open the tackle box for lures, you hit a loading screen. To select in between the lures, you hit a loading screen. To select the lure, you hit a loading screen. To cast, you hit a loading screen. To switch camera, you hit a loading screen. To reel the lure in, you hit a loading screen. There's a loading screen everywhere. For fuck's sake, did Bethesda go back in time and make this alongside Starfield?
I'd buy that for $1.
Speaking of Bethesda and Starfield, let's talk technical hiccups galore. Yes, there's loading screen in between every little fucking thing. I'm not joking. On top of that, the awful controls make it easy to screw up and cost you everything, and you get to experience more loading screens. Then there's the fact nothing saves, so you have to start all over again, re-enter your name, pick your gender, etc. Also, the frame rate is awful. The pop-in is so bad, you think this was released on the PS Vita. Not to mention the graphics and their low frame rate. Honestly, I cannot say anything positive. I'm done. I'm out. I need some bourbon.
Yes.
I tried to have fun with this game. I truly did. But
There's nothing fun about non-stop loading interruptions. There's nothing fun about awful controls. There's nothing fun about playing this game. I had to push myself to the breaking point to even make this review. This game sucks so fucking hard, it could indeed get a golf ball through a garden hose. At the end of the day, I'm done. I'm not covering any more fishing games after this. At least for a very, very long time. That's how bad this was. It's so bad, I just want to quit everything. I cannot believe someone conceived this atrocity and sold it for money. Big Bass World Championship is the worst game I have ever reviewed, ever played, and will probably ever experience. Then again, I have yet to play Skull Island. I'd rather play E.T. the video game for Atari 2600. I'd rather play Dynasty Warriors 9. I'd rather play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. I'd rather play Diablo 4. I'd rather play Rambo the video game. I'd rather go to the DMV. I'd rather eat at Burger King. I'd rather listen to Rebecca Black. I'd rather live in Chirac than play this game ever again. That's it for this video. I need some aspirin and a hot shower.
No shit.
After taking a few weeks off from reviewing any more fishing games, I decided it was time to get back into the groove of things. I only have a few more to cover, so might as well get it over with. Thankfully, finally, we have found a good fishing game besides Action Bass. Yes, there is more than one good fishing game for the PlayStation 1. Ironically too, it's made by Konami, which is frightening. Good games and Konami rarely go together, especially given their modern reputation. So when I started playing Big Ol' Bass 2, I was pleasantly surprised at how much there was to this game and how it wasn't awful.
King salmon. Somebody found 5 ounces. Big.
The first mode we'll cover is free fishing, which is restricted to the United States, but the game does feature lakes in Europe and Asia regions as well, though those are, however, for World Monster Fishing mode. We'll cover that one later. For now, in free fishing mode, we can select one of several lakes across the United States and an area within that lake to fish. Each one contains different fish. And another thing that surprised me about this game is the fish actually bite. A lot, in fact. The challenge is no longer in the hours needed of patience, but instead your ability to reel in the fish, which is different from the other fishing games I've played so far. We'll cover that part next.
Kabuki bass. 4 pounds, 14 ounces.
So we'll cover the controls real quick. You can select the lure with L1, move the pole around with the left analog stick, and you use the X and circle button to either cast or reel in your line. In fact, you mash X and circle to reel in the fish. So I found the best way to catch fish is to slide my thumb across the X and circle buttons back and forth till I catch the fish. This of course caused my thumb to hurt after a while, and I had to quit the game after 33 minutes of playing, but the controls are a bit awkward, yet are doable nonetheless.
How are you? There's been a report that some fish called the Jack Anarchy is running amok in European Lake. And it's attacking my nemesis, my friend, the Queen of Scalen's fish. Oh, I've got an idea. I want to present the Jack Anarchy to the Queen at her next ball. Don't you think it's a splendid idea? Don't forget to get some small fish to decorate the main dish. And this will be the cover of the next issue. Watch out for imitation brands, like some designer merchandise.
What the fuck?
For tournament mode, you can compete against AI or another player or survival. I went against the AI and found it really fun, because unlike the other fishing games with tournament mode, you're not alone.
Here, the AI is catching fish in real time. It can easily win if you're not careful. This left me on the edge of my seat and was a welcome change of pace. I couldn't just fish all day and defeat invisible CPUs. I had to bring my A game and only got to the second branch before losing right away to the CPU. Honestly, this is a tournament mode worth playing.
You win!
The last mode is where you can now fish in the US, Europe, and Asia. You're helping a woman document monster fish across the world. So your goal is to catch the giant fish in each lake. Anything else doesn't count and are just in their way. I enjoyed this mode too, since I could finally see some diversity in my fish and locations. Also, I love these introduction stages. They're very dumb and a little borderline iffy.
Good! I'll see you in my office. Konnichiwa! Konbanwa!
I don't like where this is going.
The legendary fish of mystery. It's mine. All mine!
Stop!
I'm planning to have this as the spotlight for the next issue, as well as adding a touch of the Orient to my collection.
Stop!
Let's see. I want the biggest one possible. I'll be waiting for the good news. 谢谢，再见。
The last thing worth mentioning is the gallery, where you can view all the fish in the game, but only see the ones you've caught. Holy cow, there are a lot of fish in this game. It's not just bass, contrary to the game's name. You got sharks, bass, trout, salmon, catfish, you name it. Another thing worth mentioning is the music, which ranges from SEGA arcade machines like Virtua Fighter and Virtua Cop style, to more relaxing stereotypical themes for different region lakes. One more thing to bring up is the overall quality of the game. I barely encountered any technical problems like frame dips, audio chops, or PS1 graphical glitches. It's a well put together fishing game. While I still prefer Action Bass, this one is an easy second place best fishing game for the PlayStation 1.
I'm glad you came. Recently, there's been talk about a gangly fish appearing in American Lake Park that steals picnic baskets. I believe it was a scud bass. No, wait. Or was it an ICBM bass?
No!
No, that wasn't it either. Oh, what was it? In any case, I want you to go find the suspect and its partner in crime and interview them. The military is going way over their heads with closing the lake to the public, but not to worry.
Please, lady, you don't understand.
I have things settled with the president.
Can I just have a break? Can I just have one break?
At the end of the day, Big Ol' Bass 2 is a game worth your time as it was mine. It's loaded to the brim with content, and while the controls can be a pain in the thumb, it didn't stop me from enjoying this game, exploring every mode and like possible. Go give it a try when you can. You'll be surprised too, as was I. Anyways, that's it for this video. See y'all later. Well, looks like we found the new worst fishing game. It's called Black Bass and Blue Marlin. Literally the same developer as Big Bass World Championship. Yep, Hot B has struck again. This time, they made something less fugly, but in turn, just as flawed as the last in many ways. with the new edition of Blue Marlin. Yay! Said no one ever. Yeah. I don't want to do this. So, right away the game makes it clear it's another Hot B product. Hot B stands for Hot Piece of Shit. With 3 years of development for a new game, Hot B refused to improve on anything from their last abomination. Here, everything is just as broken and clunky as before. Twice, in fact, since there's a new fishing option involving Blue Marlin. Except you'll never catch a Blue Marlin. Instead, the game keeps spewing nonsense that can't be understood over the roaring engine, ocean, and birds. So, after an hour of trying to fish for a Blue Marlin, I gave up. Nothing ever happened. You can't even view the underwater. How lame. Hot B is the D3 publisher of fishing games, honestly, at this rate. So I jumped back into bass fishing. There were a few options, surprisingly. You have Tournament, 2-player mode, free fish, beginner mode, and tutorial. So I decided to check out the tutorial. And it wasn't a tutorial on how to play the game. It was just 5-second videos talking about bass. Like, seriously, that's not a fucking tutorial, you dumb motherfucktards.
Bass like to forage for passing prey at the edge of the weeds. Bass may hide out on the shady side of a submerged rock to ambush unexpected prey.
The controls are okay, but nothing great. Use the D-pad or analog stick to control the boat, which just likes to fly all over the place. You can't directly control it right, so it just goes wherever it wants, not where you want it to. Sadly, unlike the last game, this one doesn't let you damage the boat and supposedly could sink it. How lame. At least let me have some fun with this awful game, Hot B, you sons of bees.
That's a good one.
Triangle is to navigate menus, square is to slow reel, circle is to fast reel, and X is to confirm things. You can select lures and switch between the casting mode and driving mode, but only in black bass fishing. In Blue Marlin, you're driving the boat only for some reason. This isn't GTA. I don't want to drive a boat all day, damn it. Speaking of suffering, let's talk why the fish don't bite. Seriously, after playing for 2 hours straight, I didn't catch a single fish. Nothing bites. Even if your lure is in the face of the fish, they will not flinch. They just stand there like Gmod NPCs. I tried the tournament mode to see if it has anything going for it. And it's just free fish with invisible AI. The beginner mode is just a small pond to fish in, and the fish still won't bite. The game doesn't tell you anything, and the fish just swim in place, like the nav mesh wasn't compiled properly. I gave up. This game is just another turd by Hot B, just like Black Bass World Championship. I'm going back to Action Bass and Big Ol' Bass 2. Hell, I'll even play Bass Rise. Anything but another hot piece of shit game like this was. At the end of the day, this is my hardest thumbs down ever. Even Roger Ebert can feel the wrath of my thumbs down as he holds on to God himself for comfort. This game is the second worst game of all time I have played and reviewed yet. That's it for this video. I need a margarita. If I told you EA made a decent fishing game, you'd probably think I was full of it, to which I might just be, because yes, EA made a good fishing game. EA, the people that wanted to charge you money for every bullet you shot out of your gun in Battlefield. That EA, the is it good for the player people. How in the world did this happen?
Caught a bluegill.
No shit.
So right away, I was expecting another awful fishing game, especially because EA's logo was attached to it. I mean, it's EA. But anyways, this PlayStation 1 fishing game isn't awful, just painfully average. The controls can take some time getting used to. We'll start there. Use the D-pad or analog stick to move your boat around, and where to cast your line as well as the fishing rod position. Square changes the drag, and circle sets the spool free. X is to reel in. Select lets you navigate the menus. Start to pause. L1 is for electric motor. Triangle is to switch to boat mode. And R2 for underwater camera. Yes, it has a split screen SEGA bass fishing experience. Or just an above water camera option. While it took a bit to get used to the mechanics, it's easier to grasp and far more intuitive than those Hot B games.
Lower the rod.
There are 4 locations to fish in, with one being locked, from what I could tell. You have Lake of the Pines, Clear Lake, Valley Reservoir, and Crescent Lake being the one locked. After trying the 3 available, I found nothing really different about them. Each looked and felt the same with no variation in theme, water, or fish. Kind of disappointing after the other fishing games made their locations a lot more different from each other.
No!
There's 4 game modes to play with. Fishing trip being the free fishing, career being goal-oriented fishing trips with nothing really to it other than you must fish exactly as they tell you or else. Yeah, that sounds very EA actually. Tournament mode looked promising at first since the loading screen showed several boats in the water. Yet, in-game, you're the only one fishing. Come on, man. Big ol' Bass had actual real-time competition. That's disappointing. The last mode is Challenge, where you must complete certain objectives, and that's about it. The only other things to mention is the fish actually bite, which is a problem for most of these fishing games. Also, you can swap the male model with a female one in the options, but the voice is still a dude.
Progressive!
At the end of the day, I do recommend this game, which I wasn't expecting. In fact, I thought this was going to be one of the worst fishing games ever made, just because of the EA attachment. Yet it surprised me to be an average fishing game, worth checking out alongside Big Ol' Bass and Action Bass. Anyways, that's it for this video. See you all later. Another day, another garbage fishing game. This time not by Hot B, instead, Konami. Ah yes, Konami, the kings of scams. Just ask the Silent Hill community about that awful pay-to-win game they released not that long ago or whatever. If Konami can pachinko something, they'll find a way. Honestly, Konami could get hit by a tsunami and no one would care, even the Japanese.
He ain't lying.
So today, we're going to do a quick review because this game is so bad and lackluster, there's barely anything to talk about. Like seriously, I was about to cancel this video, but then I remembered my goal was to review every single fishing game for the PlayStation 1. So here we are. Many down, only 3 more to go, surprisingly. Can you believe it? I can't, because the trauma of all these awful fishing games has blackened my memory.
Oh, damn!
This game is called Fisherman's Bait, a bass challenge. There's 2 of these. I have to eventually cover the sequel, God help me. Anyways, the gameplay is more arcade than simulation, which I was intrigued by at first. I prefer more gamey games and less realistic games. I want to have fun, not be bored like a college student at a class, listening to a teacher talk about whatever subject it is for 5 hours straight, and having to remember everything they said for the exam the next day. Oh God, I don't miss college at all. I do not miss college. And yet, just as I thought this game was going to be fun, it showed its ugly side.
Hey, baby, how'd you like to share a pair of skates?
Sure.
Oh, never mind. Well, you look a lot better from the back.
You jerk.
Oh, hey, baby, you want to go somewhere? No, wait, Quagmire. Remember what's on the other side.
The game has this janky camera system in place. You can only see yourself in a tiny bitty window. Shows the lure in the water in the upper left corner. There's no fish in the camera, but once they bite and the fish is hooked, you now get random camera switching, which gets in the way because the new camera doesn't display the UI. This means you can't tell the line tension or the distance the fish is from you, meaning whenever the camera randomly switches, you have a high chance of the line breaking. Okay, who thought this was a good idea? Alright, Konami.
Lost fish.
Oh, damn it!
Let's talk controls, because only by playing this game you will truly understand this garbage game. But here's a rundown for those who don't want to suffer, like me, by playing it for themselves. The circle button is to cast. L1 and R1 is the release line. D-pad is move the rod, and circle is to reel in the rod. You select the lure before playing, and if you want to reel in the fish, it needs to be hooked. How do you hook the fish? Down on the D-pad and mash the circle button. Now how do you reel the fish in? You break your controller by rapidly pressing the circle button over and 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 over again. But the line will get tense, so use L1 or R1 to release the line. The fish will then get further away from you, and they get far very fast, meaning time to mash the circle button some more, rinse and repeat, as the fish never tires out, and eventually your thumb is covered in red hot blisters and sweat. This game sucks.
Oh, that's nasty.
So I never caught a single fish at first because it takes forever to reel them in within the time limit. Why is there a bloody time limit then? I'm also playing in free fish. Fuck this game. So after getting one fish, just one little teeny weeny fishy, wishy wishy, which wasn't game fish, so I couldn't keep it. Then why is there other fish in the game if I can't catch anything but bass? Fuck. How the hell do you come up with this? So I said, fuck it. Next up, I jumped into tournament mode, thinking this will offer something. Right? Right? Right?
Right? Wrong!
The tournament mode is the same experience, but now you must get a specific fish, which is always bass. I couldn't get a single fish within the time limit. And then that's when I just said, fuck this game, I'm done, I gave up. Game over. Time to get this review over with. I am going insane in the membrane.
Please continue. Today's results.
At the end of the day, my thumb is in severe pain. This is the Mario Party 1 equivalent of fishing game controls. I cannot understand who thought this was a good idea. Alright, Konami. Never mind. I do not recommend this thumb torture porn of a garbage game. That's it for this video. I need some ointment.
Well, it's finally time to get to the sequel. Fisherman's Bait was one of the worst fishing games I've ever played so far. While Hot B is still the kings of worst games of all time, Fisherman's Bait was easily third place. So does the sequel actually fix any of the many problems I had with the first game? No. It's Konami, dude. Konami. The company that only makes pachinko machines. Fisherman's Bait 2 is just the same game as the last, making me wonder why even bother. Alright, Konami needed more crack money.
Hold on.
Since the game is just the same as the last, there's no need to go over everything again. We'll simply shorten this review to reflect the lack of quality in the sequel product. The controls are the same old, D-pad for direction of casting, X to cast and reel, L1 and R1 to select lure, options, and release tension. That's it. And yes, it still hurts my thumb to play it like the first. Seriously, you mash the X button non-stop for 5+ minutes to catch a single fish. Good God, what a badly designed mechanic. My thumb still hurts. Why do we need to mash the button? Why can't it just be hold? Why isn't there a faster reel option? This game is just torture all around.
Bluegill. 11 ounce. Not game fish.
The modes are the same as well, with nothing special about them. In fact, because they all play the exact same in the same lake, same fish, and same timer, there really should only be one mode. That being torture porn mode. Because this game is hell on the thumb. Not sure about anyone else, but I use my thumb for the face buttons and right analog stick in games, as well as my pointing finger and middle finger for the R1 and R2 button. Mirrored on the left side, I use my left thumb for the left analog stick and D-pad, with my pointer and middle fingers for L1 and L2, a standard layout. But in turn, it led to nothing but agony. I need to find some aspirin. Seriously, my thumb still hurts while typing this review and recording it.
Lost fish.
So let's quickly go over the modes. You got beginner mode, which teaches you how developers enjoy pain in their thumbs when playing games. I thought the Japanese were big on armpit licking. This must have been their 90s counterpart fetish. The beginner mode just gives you non-stop pop-ups on how to play the game. You can't select the lake either. Also, like usual, you can only catch bass. But the problem with the game is there's other fish. Also, in the underwater camera, you can't see the fish model, as it's always the same fish model, so there's no variety of fish. So every time you're fishing and the fish is about to bite the hook, it's always the same looking fish model. And it's only until they're hooked on the line and the camera switches between underwater view and the player constantly throwing you off, you can finally see what fish you hooked. This makes it harder to catch what you need, aka only bass of a certain size in all modes, hence the name Big Ol' Bass. Even though it's not Big Ol' Bass, it's Fisherman's Bait 2 Big Ol' Bass. The real Big Ol' Bass 2 is a much better game than this trash heap.
Goddamn right.
Tournament mode is the same old as well, where you just attempt to get large bass and 3 to weigh in and qualify for the next round. Boring. Free fish isn't free fish because you can only catch bass, and there's still a timer. Well, I call it free fish if it's a competitive mode. Might as well not include it at all. Finally, we have monster fish, where you go to one of 3 countries, Japan, USA, or South Africa, and try to catch one particular large fish. This is the only time where it's no longer about the bass. Instead, it's fantasy fish. I just did Japan because it's Japan, and because my thumb is killing me, so I ended up quitting after this mode.
Game over.
At the end of the day, Fisherman's Bait 2 Big Ol' Bass is just another turd in the lake of bad fishing games. While not as bad as the Hot B games, it doesn't offer much in the way of improvements over its predecessor. The point of a sequel, is to improve upon the last game and make things all the better. But not Fisherman's Bait 2. It just wants to remain the same thumb torture it's always been. Anyways, that's it for this video. See you all later. Only 2 more fishing games remain for the PS1 to cover. Hopefully Real Fishing 1 and 2 are different and better, so we have something besides Action Bass and Big Ol' Bass 2 as good fishing games.
Okay, I've had it. There's only 2 good fishing games for the PlayStation 1, those being Action Bass and Big Ol' Bass 2. Everything else is trash. I've wasted too much time and effort on this venture for nothing. I've officially reviewed all fishing games for the PlayStation 1, and today is the last 2. Because they're so awful and literally the same piece of crap game, I'd rather just merge them into one video and be done with it. Fuck this fishing game. Fuck all these fishing games. They're the worst. Fuck.
Relax.
I thought these were going to be good. Just look at the cover. Look at the company. They used to do the Harvest Moon games back in the day. How the hell did they make one of the worst fishing games of all time? Well, they did twice. So let's compress this review into 5 sections: intro, Real Fishing 1, Real Fishing 2, overall, and outro. There's not much else to talk about between these 2 other than a rant about for 4 to 5 minutes. So the first game started out promising with a neat little intro. You see a fishy in the water and then it eats the camera like a worm. Then it craps you out and the logo appears. Is this poetry?
have several questions.
So, the game quickly takes a nosedive into the depths of Hades, from the awful controls to the grotesque graphics, with glitches constantly occurring during fishing that got in the way of an already poorly designed fishing game. I mean, you don't even get a tutorial or anything. You must figure things out for yourself. There's only one mode. What is the point? The fish never bite, and if they ever do, the line just breaks. Oh well, try it again. Except you have no idea how to reel it in the fish because the line breaks quicker than a Ford pickup truck.
Based.
So then I tried more and more and more and more and more. The line kept breaking, so I tried relaxing the line. The hook comes off. Then there's times where the fish takes the bait and leaves you with nothing, or the fish simply lets go. There's literally no way to tell what's going on, as there's no UI whatsoever, so you can't tell if the tension is high or what the distance is between you and the fish. Also, the controls are not that good. X to cast/reel, triangle to change settings, and the D-pad for movement. But every time the fish gets off the hook, you need to navigate the menus to reset the hook. There's only one location to fish at first anyways, and it sucks. The graphics are atrocious, just look at the awful design. The perspective is awful. I can't tell what angle things are. I can't even tell where the fish are because they're so tiny, because they have those little silhouettes like in Animal Crossing. Screw this game. After trying to play it for an hour and never catching a single fish with no help from the game, I gave up. Time to move on to the sequel.
It can't get worse, right? It can and it will, and here it is.
The sequel isn't much better. They did make the graphics nicer, but that's about it. The game still controls awful, and there's no explanation for anything. Also, there's only 2 locations now, a freshwater lake straight out of Friday the 13th, and a generic island in the ocean, both featuring fish that don't ever bite. No, seriously, I wasted an hour and only had 1 bite, but get off the hook. Honestly, I'm starting to think developers just put out these games for the craps and giggles out of it. And there's like, what, 14 of these fishing games for the PlayStation 1? We've had Action Bass, Bass Landing, Monster Bass, Big Bass Fishing, Bass Rise, Saltwater Sports Fishing, Big Bass World Championship, Big Ol' Bass 2, Black Bass with Blue Marlin, EA Sports Championship Bass, Fisherman's Bait, a Bass Challenge, Fisherman's Bait 2, Big Ol' Bass, and now Real Fishing and Real Fishing 2. Out of the 14 fishing games for PlayStation 1, only 2 are good. Some are mediocre, and the rest are garbage. What a world we live in. Well, this was a fun little adventure. Not really. I've become more agitated with each game, and I'm starting to hear voices tell me demonic things in an exotic language from the darkness. But hey, you would also go insane in the membrane too if you had to review every single fishing game for the PlayStation 1 to only find crap around every corner. Honestly, I'm thinking of not ever doing anything like this again, especially the Cabela's games. I'm supposed to review every Cabela's game for the PS2. I need to start making more positive reviews. I need to focus on games that are actually good, fun, and would make me happy, and I'd be happy to review them. Reckon it's time to get back to the grind. After a well-deserved break, that is. So yeah, Real Fishing 2, it sucks as well. At the end of the day, Real Fishing 1 and 2 left me highly disappointed. I was expecting them to be good. They looked good. The publisher name was Natsume, for crying out loud. But sadly, looks can be deceiving, and we found more garbage fishing games. Oh well, that's it for this video. See you all later.